And don't be a Richard, and forget to shop Merch with the Perp on YGoProject.com. That's YGoProject.com/merch-with-a-perp. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Trauma Translator Live. I'm Lauren Friedman, not another healing asshole. And today we have Adam Connors here, which I'm really excited to chat with him today. But before we do that, I just wanted to share some updates. You may have noticed that on my profile, things are a little bit in flux. I am rebranding to Unblink Yourself with Lauren, Unbeep Yourself with Lauren. And the new website will be called A Good Unbeep and .com. So if you go to YGoProject.com or any of the other ones, it all goes right there. And if you're interested, some of my affiliate partners that I'm highlighting today that really do help manage anxiety and really help unbleep your life in real time is Camuso, which is the Camuso Shift necklace, as well as the fidget breathers. We had their co-founders on a few months ago at this point. And we also have morning routine, which is my favorite electrolyte. It's only 3 ingredients: apple cider vinegar, sea salt, and lemon. And it's delicious, and it helps hydrate you. It helps stabilize your blood sugar, and it helps keep you sane. So we all need a little bit more of that. You may also see the Quip protein bars and Recess behind me, as well as Merch with the Perp. So check it all out on link on my profile and in bio on Instagram. And without further ado, please welcome Adam R. Connors to the show.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. What a great introduction. I like the whole production value of what you've done, and congratulations on the new brand.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for actually being inspirational in this. I know I told you this last week in person, but you know, some of the things you and I were chatting through as somebody who has scaled businesses themselves, we were talking about clarity and, you know, what does Why Go Project mean? And it was meaningless to a lot of people. And it really just elongated, you know, my elevator pitch and just like really confused people. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that the whole purpose here is how to unbeep your life, right? In real time, in real ways, through neuroplasticity, nervous system regulations, neuroscience for all, because my background's in tech. And what I'm doing now is explaining trauma in the same way that I used to explain complex, abstract ideas to varying levels of audiences and understanding. So tell us a little bit about what you do, why you're here, and what's exciting this week.
Well, I founded a company called NetworkWise. I'm here because I love your energy, and anything that I can do that can support you, I'm behind. And in terms of what's exciting this week is everything, right? Every day is a gift. Every day I'm excited to have an opportunity to do things like this, to talk with amazing people and try to benefit others by essentially teaching them what networking is really all about.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is I've had the most wonderful opportunity to attend so many of your more than just the lunches, and they really are truly providing that real intimate networking experience that really you can't find in other places. I personally am a huge fan. The whole goal behind this is the art and science of connection, right? Connection to yourself, connection to others, and connection to a higher power. So what you're doing is truly epitomizing that. So tell us a little bit more about NetworkWise, how you got there, and what we could expect through NetworkWise.
Yeah, well, thank you. I started it about 8 years ago. After exiting a couple of interesting businesses. My background was financial services, worked on Wall Street, and also recruited for the Wall Street community for many years, and then started a resume writing business, did a career coaching business, and then actually went back into financial services for a few years. I'd lent money to athletes and entertainers, and was involved in the NFL concussion case. I mean, did a lot of really cool things that, Lauren, I was not qualified for. Not any of them really. Didn't go to an Ivy League school, didn't run in those kinds, didn't have those doors open. But I was really fortunate to have had these opportunities. And what made me realize this is, again, getting back to the days when I was recruiting, I'm coming across people with Harvard MBAs that aren't even getting interviews for the kinds of opportunities that I have had. And they would have loved to have had those, and they would have been a lot better, quite frankly, than I was at these roles.
I disagree with that. I really disagree with that. I hope need a Harvard education to do any of those things.
Well,
I really don't, especially in this age.
Correct. Well, my point is that had these people taken the time to build relationships, they didn't have the and again, I'm generalizing, but I've got a lot of data points, thousands of them, right? That a lot of people spend a lot of time with the education, which is important, right? It is important. It's good to be smart, and it definitely gives you an advantage. But what they didn't realize is just they overlooked, the number one predictor of career success. It's not STEM. The number one predictor of career success is the quality of your relationships. And why is that? Because quality relationships are built on trust. Why is trust so important? Because trust is the foundation. You need that trust. So as I had exited, to get back to your short question, I'm pontificating on the answer, is that I saw all these people that were superiorly intelligent and underemployed, or maybe not even employed at all.
Welcome to meeting me. I totally agree with that. Also, something that's interesting about your career path and mine, I have a few things to circle back. One, I started my career in tech. I always wanted to go into advertising because I was a copywriter by nature, and that's not the course my career took. But I started working for a full service IT firm, and that was not my career choice. And when I left to go join an advertising and marketing job, which was my real passion, they offered me an opportunity to do recruiting. So I vacillated and looked into recruiting over the years, and I was like, I don't really want to be at the mercy of job growth. But I think it's interesting for people like you and me who are, did we lose Adam?
No, I'm here.
You're there. Normally I see you at the bottom. But normally people like you and me who are really good at connecting with people and building those relationships, that we do end up in those types of recruiting. Like I was kind of a recruiter, on the side. I used to help everybody find jobs. I did everyone's resumes. Fresh out of school. I didn't have any experience. I just was doing people's resumes and they got jobs, and I interviewed prep. So I've been doing that for years myself. And currently I'm very much underemployed, and I totally understand what you're saying. But what's interesting about that, about the trust thing that you're talking about, is what I found through healing trauma and healing, just myself, my body, my mind, and this incredible journey that I've been on, has been the trust with yourself is really the greatest predictor of how you're going to have trust with others, because you can't have trust with others unless you trust yourself. And it took me a really, really long time to really trust myself. I had to get sober. I had to lose every identity I've ever had in my life. Every relationship, every single thing that ever defined me, I had to lose in order to find that in my life. Now, not everybody has that insane life, right? But the trust with yourself is really how you create it.
Trust is the pinnacle, right? If on the relationship side, at least, of trust, if somebody, if they know you, they'll speak with you for the most part, right? And if they like you, they'll let you take them out to dinner or lunch. But if they trust you, that's where the magic happens, Lauren. That's where people will hire you. That's where people will buy from you. That's where people will confide in you. And
that all happens to me already. People have been confiding me, hiring me. It's just now I'm overqualified for the jobs I'm applying for.
Well, the ultimate thing is when people trust you is they put their name behind you. And if you could get someone to put their name behind you, there's a great saying, you get someone to say your name, the sound carries twice as far. And so trust it's paramount.
I agree with that. It's really hard. One of the things that I've had to do is build trust with myself again, because when you experience a lot of things, like not just what I've experienced, but just even job loss, relationship loss, having things in flux, even like your daughter going away to college, she has to learn how to trust herself, right? She's a senior in high school, and she has to learn that, hey, I'm going away. I've been thinking about your family. Your older daughter has stayed nearby. So this is going to be so different. For your younger daughter to be away from your family unit, right? So
my oldest daughter's away also.
Oh, she is? I thought she was local for some reason. Oh, interesting. Maybe not. But so that'll be even more interesting. Now you have both the girls away, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is building trust within yourself and how you could do that so that you could build those relationships that do carry those voices, that do create that impact. And I think it's interesting the way you structure your networking events. It's really unlike any other event I've ever been to. And a lot of people are trying to emulate you and copy you, but I really think that you have a secret sauce. Can you share a little bit about how you came up with this?
Wow, thank you. That means a lot to me. I know that you're out a lot, so I really that means a lot. There's a tremendous amount of thought, time, energy, resources that are put into. I'm assuming you're talking about the lunches, not just other events that we do,
More than
correct?
just the lunch, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
specifically.
um,
We host a variety of other events, but this specifically, I think, is it's just spectacular.
Thank you. I'm deeply proud of this accident. That happened as a
Serendipity.
getting out of COVID. There were a friend of mine owns this amazing place in Hoboken called 10th Street Pizza. And if anyone hasn't heard of it, I would strongly encourage you to check it out. It's fantastic. It was highly rated on Dave Portnoy, the guy that rates pizzas. Anyways, so my
Not going
friend,
by Manzos, as I've learned.
yes, correct. So coming out of COVID, I hadn't seen a bunch of people in a while, a bunch of my friends, and I'd ask my buddy that owns it if he'd be kind enough to open for me in the afternoon and just let me have the place, and he was kind enough to do so. And there were about 8 or 9 of my buddies. We got together, and it was just to get together, and that was really it. And what happened was we had just such a great time. It just really solidified the importance. It's nothing that we all don't know, but how important it is to see people, to be around people, to release oxytocin, which is a trust hormone,
Yeah.
and just to have a great time. But a few people couldn't make it. So they said, "Hey, can I can't make it. Is there any way you can do it again?" So I did it again, and we had a blast. And then I got a phone call and said, "Hey, I heard you did this lunch." And I'm like, I do, So I was asked to do this, and then I'm like, well, let me start putting some things around it, because organizations, that's what NetworkWise, the company, we have enterprise offerings where we work with executives and we work with sales teams and a bunch of people to help people build that trust. And so I started incorporating into this lunch some of the things that organizations pay me to do, right? To make it real easy for people to connect with each other, real comfortable, prompting people with the right questions, like having a format, stripping people of labels, So the idea is when you come to one of these lunches, I don't tell anybody who's going to be there. That's on purpose.
I think it's really cool. I think it's just incredible.
Thank you. There's no selling, right? That's not what this is about. If you build the right relationships real time during these lunches, and then you build real trust, the selling and the business and all these kinds of things are going to happen afterwards when you do the right thing, which is follow up, because fortune is in the follow up. So, we create an environment. We're very thoughtful in who we invite in terms of diversity. And I don't just necessarily mean black, white, male, women. I mean everything, industry, level. We again, like I said, we strip labels, and we try to make this about getting people to know each other for who they are, not what they do, or where they work. And what happens is just naturally the conversations take shape. People really connect. There's nothing like connecting over really good food, and we try to give everybody a space to be able to talk about, who they are and what they're interested in. And as a result, here we are 4 years later, hundreds of lunches, thousands of connections, and, a lot of good, a lot of pizza. And my belly is proof of it.
Well, honestly, the pizza is so good. And I'm dairy free for like the last 10 plus years, but I'll break occasionally for 10th Street. Awesome. The only thing is they don't make any vodka sauce, and I know it's intentional, but that's my own personal thing. But what I really think is interesting about your format, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, because like you said, I do network a lot. I'm always out, and a lot of the events are the same. It's everybody like it's listening to founders, and they tell their stories, and like most of them are young kids, and they're all patting themselves on the back. Like I went to one the other night, and I have a lot of feedback. But I have a lot of things to share, because I also work with enterprises, right, in trying to help develop leadership in a trauma-informed fashion so that people can get better results. Like when you are stuck in a fight or flight or any type of freeze, you don't make good decisions in not just your personal life, but across all facets of life, right? Yeah, so trauma, any stress that overwhelms your ability to cope, is pervasive, and it's not one part of life. It's how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't understand that for many years. It took me until I got laid off for the 6th time to really understand how I was addicted to my job and how it was making me sick. But the thing is like when I was in enterprise sales, I would, see things through rose-colored glasses. I would keep chasing the deals that were intentionally, like, they weren't good deals for the business, but I just was dying to make money. I was desperate, and you can't do things out of a desperation, but that's what happens when you're stuck in survival. And the organizations themselves were making it difficult to sell because they wanted to get rid of our team. So like, it's this constant battle, right? Like, you don't want to chase bad deals, but like, these are the only deals you could get because of what's happening at a macro level, and it affects your life in real life, right? So for founders like us, right, there are certain ways that I found, there are things that I did when I went to market 3 years ago when I was still in survival mode that, like, if I were smart, I would have done things completely different. I have a whole speech on that. I have a whole way to help people understand why safety matters, how it affects your finances, how it affects your relationships. But when you're producing these events, what's really interesting to me is, as someone who's been to many of them, the first one I went to was so mind-blowing to me because I never had experienced it before. And it reminded me the most of my trauma retreat because we weren't allowed to say last names. We weren't allowed to talk about our profession. We had to find identities outside of work, right? And that was really hard for me in 2022. Like, we're allowed to do it like on the 6th day if we wanted to share when we were all leaving, if we wanted to exchange contacts. But that was the first time, and that's actually where my "How are you healing" came from, because you're not supposed to ask, you're not supposed to ask people, what do you do for work? You're supposed to say, find another commonality. I remember someone was like, so what do I ask? And someone was like, how do you be? Like, what do you ask the person? So what's interesting, and I think is really unique about the More Than Just a Lunch, it is in person. This is the first time you and I have ever had a meeting via Zoom or any type of electronic. I love that. You and I met you, like, at least 20 times in this calendar year in person plus. And I feel very fortunate for that. But what's really interesting is that you have to establish those types of organic dynamics, and it gets people out of the way of thinking about themselves as like, this is my job, this is my identity. Because like, when you lose your job 6 times, and you lose your life, and you lose your family, and you lose everything, you have to find other ways to find identity in yourself, and it can't come from your profession. So I think it's just so unique, and I think everybody should be going to your More Than Just a Lunch. Although I'm very thoughtful with who I recommend. I'm like, do I really want this person and their extended friends? Like, I was about to recommend someone recently, and then I was like, you're doing too much. You could do less.
Thank you. We're very guarded on that. There's the most precious commodity that we have in this planet is our time.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're going to give me your time, the event, the lunch itself is 2.5 hours, but for some people, it's an entire day event, right? That they've got to get there, depending on where we've had people come from all over the world.
Someone from Hawaii. Someone flew in from Hawaii this week. Was that true?
That was last week. Yeah. I mean, we've had people from
my feed this week.
Yeah, everything blends together. But so I really want to be mindful of their time, and I need to listen. If you're going to give that to me, the least that I can do is to give you an experience of quality people, and an experience in general that is going to make that well worth your time.
100%. And what's so funny is, like, the first lunch that I went to in January, you had thanked everyone for their time, for coming without knowing anything, and just just showing up, right? It's kind of like a blind date, or I feel like it's like a reality TV show, like, for the first time. And then you're like, oh, okay, I've been here. I kind of understand what's going to happen. But people, like, I didn't consider that until you had said that at this lunch, that there were people that had full-time jobs, and like, they were taking a big part of their day out, which 2.5 hours didn't seem like a lot. But when, like, I used to judge people for taking lunch, like, I'd be like, you're such a loser. Why would you take lunch? Work. Like, I was a crazy person. So like, the old me never would have come when I had a corporate job, but the new me is like, this is where you should be, because it's actually like where most people aren't, who are in corporate America.
Yeah, no, they're that's sad, but that's a reality, is that, again, a lot of people, they don't have a social homeostasis now. They're not getting that. They're not getting these types of experiences. And that's some of the best feedback that we get, is that it was just really nice to not check my phone. That's like one of the best, that's one of the best compliments that we get, because it shows their presence. And, they feel like, my God, I've needed more of this. is something that we often get a lot of feedback from as well. So,
Yeah, no, I love it.
yeah,
Like I
thank you.
literally
Yeah.
keep I have all my
Oh,
notes
cool.
from last time. I keep it
Yep.
like, I mean, I have to like aggregate them at some point and do some, but I have like a lot. I can
So,
go through it.
so that's really smart that you do that, and that's something that I would wish more people. I started actually telling people, you meet people, you spend this time, you've got these notes that I've asked you to take, and it's a way to really help you remember. Because what happens is people run out the door, right? Okay, because we're busy, but the importance, the fortune is in the follow up and the follow through. It's great to have the fun experience, and sometimes people just come for that, right? Like they really do. But in terms of like relationships and proper networking, you want to follow up. You want to build on that foundation because it's a great foundation. When you're at a lunch that you've spent 2.5 hours of time, quality time with intimate questions, as I mean, we get vulnerable. We've had many lunches where people are crying, deep laughter. That's a connection. And there are just some people that are
Table
part.
sometimes a few times,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
stuck.
Yeah. So that's not many people can feel comfortable to do a lot of those things, and that's special. And a lot of people do not take advantage of that. So it makes me happy to hear that you've written the notes. You're going to follow up because that's where the results are going to happen. We had a gentleman that was back yesterday, and he just told everybody he wanted to thank everybody, and he suggested, hey, follow up, because he was leaving from our lunch to go meet with someone that he had met at the last lunch that he was at, which I think was a year and a half ago.
Oh my
That is
God,
now his client.
I love
So
that.
correct. And we've had outcome. I mean, that's normal, right? Like again, we've had people that do work with each other. We've had people that hire people. Got people that have gotten on boards. There's been thousands of dollars of money raised in terms of nonprofits. We've had dates. We've had two people that I know of that had started dating as a result, and then just genuine friendships.
Yeah.
Yesterday, one of the gals told me, she goes, "I think I might have just met my best friend."
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah,
really nice. I mean,
yeah,
I found my like, and these are just things. This isn't in advance of our interview. Like these are things that were literally on my desk. Like I just happened because I really do use them. My only critique though is you can't write on the back of this, so I needed another one, and I also can't read my handwriting.
I can't
So
read mine either. So that's,
yeah, it's actually
yeah.
I have a whole talk about that because that was actually some of the ways that I was able to learn how to release shame when I was at my trauma retreat. But we could talk about that another time because it's actually like quite integrated into how you find motor skills and are you in your body and things like that. We could talk about that another time. But my only problem is I can't read my handwriting and I needed more space. But I looked at this today. It said my name and it said seeking new one. And the question was, who would you bring on a road trip that's not your family member? And I was like, I don't even know. Like, I happen to know what the question was. And people are seeking new best friends. Like things change in life. And I think it's a really unique way. I think it's also really good. Like one of my inspirations for I was calling it the anxiety antidote event. People don't like anxiety. They don't understand what the word antidote means. I like alliteration, but we're not calling it that. We're calling it unbleep me events now. And one of the things I think is really unique about your More Than Just a Lunch is that it really helps people who aren't naturally gregarious, who aren't going to just like talk to somebody in an elevator or not going to make a new best friend. It helps those people that are more reticent, that do have that anxiety, connect organically in a way that they don't have to think about it.
Thank you for acknowledging that, because that's something that we put a lot of thought into. I like yourself, go to a lot of events and have been going to a lot of events for years. And so what I started doing is identifying, what's missing with each event. And that was the construct of how this thing has been put together. And, a lot of times there are people that even the deepest introverts, they still crave connection. They still need that. And people that are shy, it's a shame that it's hindered them. So we try to make it so easy for them to, we give people a task, something to do, something that makes it easier, for them. And then they open up and they flourish. And, so thank you for noting that. That means a lot. Yeah.
No, that was like my first original feedback when I first went to your More Than Just a Lunch in January. Well, number one, I almost cried at the table, but I had my own things going on. But also, I was like, this is perfect for the people that have always come to me. They spill their heart out to me. They want my help. They want me to fix their lives. And I'm like, cool, pay me. Like, I don't know what to do now. Like, I used to do it for free. Now I need money,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, like, this is somewhere you should go. This really is like such a good place for people that aren't wanting to network, but they need to, because everybody needs to. Like, everybody needs to meet new people. Everybody needs to find ways to move forward. And the only way you could do it is through interpersonal engagement, right? Like, behind a computer screen, I don't want to do Zoom calls. I don't want to do any of that. Like, I want in-person IRL real life. And I messaged a bunch of people afterwards. I was like, hey, you should do this. And then someone's like, how much is it? And I'm like, it's like no money. Like, you should go, and they're like,
we don't make, we actually lose money on the lunches.
You said that.
So,
yeah. So how do you make money? We could talk about that another time. But
yeah, well, it's not, it's fun. That was the idea. There was never a monetary driver behind it. It was to provide an opportunity. Listen, actually, it's selfish. Really, I'm going to be honest. It's selfish. It was an opportunity for me to see my friends. So it was a great, because everyone's busy in life, right? So but at least if that I have a standing lunch every week, if our relationship means enough to you, I'm saying, hey, listen, come to my lunch, we're going to get to see each other, and also I want to be appreciative of your time, and I'm going to make it worth your while. Even if you don't like me, you're going to get to meet some of my other friends, or it's a great opportunity to potentially meet new people. People get referred all the time. And, again, we have to kind of focus our time and work in buckets. Well, now this is an opportunity for maybe to meet a friend of a friend. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's not money. It's not, it's coming from a good place.
Yeah. And also, by the way, like, I think it's really special. Like, every single event lunch that I've been to, there's someone there that's like, Adam, I haven't seen you in X amount of time. And like, same thing with me, right? Like, a lot of people, so you don't see people all the time. And it's a really good place. So before we forget about this, I want to actually, this is something I struggle with when I'm trying to refer people. How, number one, share a little bit about the weekly cadence of where you have it, when you have it, et cetera, of those lunches. And then also how people could sign up for it. Because I always send people to engage with you on LinkedIn, but I think there's a better way.
Yeah, I mean, referrals are always going to get top priority. We have a huge waiting list, but a referral is, again, you're either a friend or referred by a highly trusted source. So email, and then on the, Adam@networkwise.com, and on the subject line, identify who you're referred by. We do them every week. 1 week we were doing 2 a week, and that just became too much. But we do 1 week, Wednesdays in Hoboken, Tuesdays in Midtown Manhattan, every week. And it's great. And if you're a friend and I haven't seen you in a while, I'd love to see you. If you're a friend of Lauren's or a friend of another friend of mine, and you get fired up by an opportunity to surround yourself with some awesome people that are going to really get to know each other. You're going to hear some pretty cool stories every week. There's some, like, every week I leave humbled at the opportunity that I've had to sit around with these amazing people in such an intimate format to learn about who they are, what they've done. I mean, just yesterday, one guy who is, sober for almost 1,000 days. Like, can't imagine what he's had to been through, right? Another person who owns a business, a very successful business, but he's actually a chef. He's a classically trained chef. I mean, I could just go on and on, just sitting around a table, these things about people that you would have never guessed, you would have never known. Everyone's got a story. Getting back to your trauma, everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a life, and it's really interesting when you learn about who they are, and you see the dynamic of how they operate, in the construct, of this lunch.
I think it's also interesting too, because a lot of things are structured around alcohol in general. Like, I know, like, the trend is not alcohol, it's non-alcoholic beverages. Like, I've been sober, I don't even know how many days, honestly, years, but my sobriety is like a little bit different. It came from a different place. And I just think it's good because, like, it's during the day. You're not drunk at a lunch. Like, my lunches that I used to have professionally were like shit shows, right? Like we would all get drunk, and like that was the whole goal of it. So like this is actually really different too, because you're not like making someone who is sober for 1,000 days feel bad. You're making them feel included, because if people want to drink, they can, but generally they're not.
The format of our lunch is the social lubricant, not alcohol.
Yes. I love that. No, that's a really beautiful thing. And that's what I've seen people like open up, like traditionally really, really shy, reticent people are like, hey, I feel really comfortable. And I think it's interesting that you're doing nervous system regulation through questions, through engagement, like not through like something like this, right? Like you're basically making people feel safe enough to be seen. And that's what I'm trying to share with people, is that trauma is just another word for stress that overwhelms your ability to cope. And the antidote for that, the cure for that, is safety in your body. You can't feel it in your mind, but you have to feel it in your body. And if people don't feel safe, you'll also see that around the table. And sometimes it doesn't work, right? Like sometimes people still are in their heads and whatever. I haven't seen that happen, but I'm sure numbers are numbers, right? But most of the time, everybody's leaving there and they're like, oh my God, I want this again and again. Wait, so you were doing every week on Wednesdays in Hoboken. Now you're doing every other week?
Yeah, so we were doing 2 a week. It became too much. We did it to try to cut down on the waiting list, and it actually expanded it. Yeah. So and it's again I do have a day job, right? So I do run a company that so it gets harder and harder. And as selfish as I am, and as much fun as it is, there is work that I do need to do at some point.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so it's every other Tuesday in the city.
Yeah, it's a Tuesdays in the city, Wednesdays in Hoboken, and I rotate. So yesterday was Wednesday. That was in Hoboken. Next week we're in the city in Midtown.
When I called you yesterday, I couldn't remember. I don't even know what day it was actually. So I was like, is he having a lunch or is he not? Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that it's just such a unique opportunity. And there's so many events. You could find an event. You can like literally throw a stone and find an event, but you're not going to throw a stone and find an event like this. This is truly something so special. And I just think it's amazing. So I know we're going to wrap up soon, but before we do, tell everyone where they could find you, how they can get in touch with you. I know you just said it, but let's do it again.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, the name of my company is NetworkWise. And www.networkwise.com, or email me directly, adam@networkwise.com. Make a note that you're referred by Lauren, right?
Yeah.
Like that's I'd love to know who that is. Who are your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I really am very judicious in how I refer people. I really think is this the person that I really need to be referring? So that's why I haven't gone overboard.
Thank you. I mean, like I said, we're super guarded, and in all the lunches, we've had one time where there was a person that was that will not be inviting back, and it really reinforced how important it is when you put the right people in the room, or the impact one bad person can have,
apple,
in the room. So, thank you for being very thoughtful about who it is that you're, because again, you're putting your name behind them. So that trust is transferable, so super important. Thank you.
No, of course. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means it's not the right environment, right? Like
Correct.
It's not the right fit. And you can't control other people, but you could also be more thoughtful in how you engage. So I think it's really beautiful. So before we end our show today, I have one question for you. What? No, it's not that. It's not. I was just going to ask you, what is your specific favorite of all of the lunches you've had, of all of the success? What's your favorite biggest success story that really just epitomizes NetworkWise?
I mean, we have so many, but I will tell you one that I think I told you at one of the lunches, because I think you were there, and I think this kind of speaks to the lunch. I think it speaks to just networking in general and the way to think about it. So before anyone comes to this lunch, we tell them, you get a video from me where I say, hey, listen, come into this with what we call the NetworkWise way, the right mentality of you're coming in to see what you can do to benefit other people. It's not about what you can get. Yeah. So anyways, there was a gentleman that he is a partner of a law firm. He does private equity, M&A type work. He came in. We always also try to, we try to bring a nonprofit into the lunch. We try to always, if I can, I try to bring a young kid if it's possible, because I want kids to be able to see, like, this is the way it's really done.
Yeah.
Like, don't, because there's really, it's not that people just have networking wrong. You've heard me say that most people, call networking. It's not. I think their understanding is that they have networking malware. But anyways, so we bring a young kid, the partner of this law firm. He takes a liking to this kid. The kid's young, 24, 25 years old, and he kind of takes the kid under his wing. He really and he gives the kid advice. He takes this kid out to dinner, and his intent is just to really help this kid. You're smiling. Do you remember this story? Do you know where I'm going?
Of course, I remember it.
Yeah.
It's my first lunch. Yeah, definitely. I remember. That.
Good. So, anyways, lo and behold, a year, maybe a year and a half later, maybe it's 2 years of that, I don't recall. This kid that he was helping and guiding and mentor ends up introducing him to one of his biggest clients, a $40 million client. And I think that really, I mean, if that doesn't tell the story, right? Going in with the right attitude, trying to help somebody else out. And, it's something that I call selfish benevolence, right? Like, people say, oh, you're always helping people. You know what? It feeds me.
Exactly.
And now that really is going to feed him and his family, and maybe generations of family.
I love that story. I think it really does epitomize that. And what's also interesting too, like for the kids, right? The kids that just got out of school during COVID, they never were in offices, and then everyone hates on them, like, oh, they don't want to come to work. Well, guess what? They never were in an office. So you can't just expect them to all of a sudden want to go into an office. So I think it really gives like that nice bridge connection of teaching kids how to do better networking in person, how to connect with people better, and how to just have more of a normalcy in life. Because remember the father that was there last week, and I had met his son previously, Griffin.
Oh, that was amazing, by the way. God, kudos to you for remembering that. I'll be talking about that one. That'll be the next, that was impressive.
Well, my brain is crazy. We're going to still figure out how to monetize it one day, but that's literally it's true. And it's interesting. I've gotten to meet the son. I got to meet the father. I could see all the similarities. And I think it's really cool that you are able to traverse all the different generations and make everyone feel included, inclusive, and just welcoming and safe. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. We had a lunch one time where there was a 55-year difference from the youngest to the oldest.
Wow.
At a lunch. Yeah. That was
I believe that though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was awesome. It was a great lunch.
I love seeing the diversity in your pictures of the groups, not just the races, right? But who you bring together. I just happened to look at, I'm like, oh, interesting. I like that.
Awesome.
When I see all the posts. So I take note, I pay attention, and I really do admire what you've been building and what you continue to build. So anyone at home, if you're interested, hit up Adam at networkwise.com, because if you're going to network wise, right?
Love that. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. This is a great platform. This is an awesome experience. I love how aware you are during these events. And I appreciate the opportunity that you're giving me to showcase, to your networks, the lunch and what we do, and, just trying to help get the word out for people on how to properly network, or what we say, to network wise. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And this is another episode of the Trauma Translator Live. Next week, we're going to have Christina Scalfani from TriNet on, and that's where I'm going to leave you today. So have a great rest of your day and weekend, and enjoy the beautiful weather if you're in this area. So all of the jewelry that I have behind me, I'm always wearing the Camuso shift necklace. And the reason why is that it actually is an anxiety antidote. It helps you shift into calm in real time. And it's all about the exhale. So what I like to do is do a 4-4-8 breath. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, and 8 seconds on the exhale. And the exhale is where the magic happens. It actually helps reduce your heart rate. It reduces blood pressure in real time, and it helps you breathe into calm. So let's do it together. Inhale for 4. It just feels so good. This is truly my favorite. From the beach to the boardroom, you could wear it everywhere.